Okay, welcome to Meditation According to Karma. I am Karma. Thank you for hanging out with me and trusting me. I am going to just tell you a little bit about what we're going to do. For me, meditation, having been a psychic my whole life, there was a point where, you hear the expressions that meditation opens the pineal gland or helps you maximize your skill set and your psychic abilities. So there was a point like 4 years ago where I had chosen in to taking meditation seriously. And what I discovered was there is a lot of BS out there and a lot of woo-woo and a lot of useless information that was either very expensive or very, very difficult, or used a lot of language that really kept me from wanting to stay at it. And some of the commitment that they were asking for in this was that, hour of meditation twice a day, certain poses, all this other stuff. And so I was pretty committed. And so I decided just to sit with it. And, in looking for meditation, like, for example, how to meditate, I found, videos that were like, think like a tree and sound like the ocean, shh. I'm like, that's great. However, the why. And so I went on a deep dive for the last 4 years, and there came a point where, in understanding the energy body, somebody would have an experience or something that comes up, and I'd be like, oh, that's a root chakra, right? And, just being able to point to that was kind of priceless. However, there was also a phase where I had decided that it might be a good idea to teach people this rather than do an energy session, because once you understand your own energy body, then you can do some of these mechanisms yourself and get some real and lasting change. And this way you'll be able to also vet your practitioner. How do you know what they're talking about when it comes to chakras? So I would like for you to forgive me a little bit as we do meditation according to karma. So we're going to pretend like you've never heard of it before. No, I'm not going to get simplistic. We're not going to do kindergarten, because I feel like you'll find that there's going to be some depth pretty quickly. So I'm going to go over some of the things that we'll cover today. And what we're going to do today is really get on the same language and bring up some of the things that are most important, set some goals. So we're going to talk about discipline and ritual. And this is some of the overall class content too in your syllabus. Most of this we're going to go over in part today. A lot of this material, yes, take notes. A lot of this material is going to be used again, so don't worry if you miss anything, because we're going to go a little deeper into some of these concepts, but we're going to be going over terms and some explanations of things so that we're on the same page language-wise. So we're going to go over the introduction to meditation, what it is all about, discipline and ritual in meditation, the role of proprioception and emotional intelligence, how, what it's like navigating emotions, discovering our light, because it is not just us to suffer that we must do. We're going to go through understanding chakras and energy body and the auric field entire, positioning for alignment and breathing techniques, the power of Ohms, mantras, and mudras, the discovery of clairvoyance and setting some goals, techniques, positioning, breath work. There's tools that we're going to talk about and augments, everything from singing bowls, bells, yoga, plant medicine, music. We're going to break out discussions toward the end of the class where we're going to have these discussions on plant medicine and the value of vibration and when and how to use drums and singing bowls to augment these things. And we'll even have, some music that's going to go with each chakra so that you have some practice things to play with and go to. We'll go over some exercises, and there is homework. And what I mean by homework is, like, this week's homework, for example, will be creating a Zen space, looking over what times are best for you, whether that's the time that it's most needed. Like one of mine was those 15 minutes before I go to second shift, where it's like I'm coming off of my shift as a paramedic and I'm going into the second shift of feeding the kids, doing laundry and homework, and etc. So sometimes we need those moments, and this is where we're going to try to incorporate a schedule for you and get some discipline. All right, so the introduction to meditation. Meditation is the keystone to any spiritual practice, serving as a gateway to clear understanding of the self. It's a discipline of process where experiences evolve and goals change over time. Meditation allows for the integration of new tools with a focus on proprioception and emotional intelligence. Now, it doesn't matter what your spiritual practice is, meditation can enhance those spiritual practices. So understanding the chakras and energy body is going to be some of the ongoing game that we're going to play in the next 8 weeks. We're going to go over each one of the chakras in turn, in depth, and we're going to talk about how that chakra shows up in your body, what it feels like, some of the names, terms, colors, etc. So the aura system and chakras, the chakras are the energy centers in our body, each associated with specific function and behaviors, and they represent the balance or blockage of energy flow. The body alignment and communication, we're going to be going over ways to position yourself for immaculate alignment and enhance the ability of the body to communicate clearly, especially in relation to the chakras. We're going to be doing some breathing techniques and rhythms. We're exploring breathing techniques that provide a foundational approach to the rhythms within the body and chakra balancing. And understanding the energy body. This is insight into the energy body as a whole, including its moving parts and functions and communication and sensory experience. We'll talk a little bit about Ohms, mantras, and mudras, especially today, and then we'll go into them, maybe adding some of the chakras as we go. The explanation of these tools and their benefits in the context of chakra alignment and energy balance. And we're going to go over some scientific insights and value for the modern mystic. So understanding the scientific basis of these practices and principles and their value and their impact on the individual's spiritual journey. So for example, we'll be going over the nervous system and the alignment of the nervous system. Okay, so discipline and ritual in meditation. So discipline in meditation, meditation is a discipline of process. You process what you perceive differently throughout the experience, and goals will change. You may be needing something that has to do with mindfulness, peace of mind, or calming your mental state. You may be needing better sleep or enhancing your spiritual practice or your healing techniques. In discipline and ritual, the seeds of growth are found. You'll see that growth over time. So stepping stone by stepping stone, breath by breath, beat by beat. This will calm the nervous system. It directs and reprograms the DNA, or reprograms the brain and rewrites DNA, bringing in mindfulness and presence. Like I was saying earlier to those of you that were coming in, you know, this is something that takes a little bit of time. Just like when you go into the gym, you don't expect results overnight. This is something that will pay you in spades if you give it a little bit of commitment. So rituals in meditation create sacred space. Rituals can be a way to integrate new tools that come up during meditation. I highly recommend that you centralize the practice, and we'll get into this in a little bit. Candles, incense, comfort measures, you know, make sure you have enough water, is the temperature right, etc. Color themes, day or time, and setting your intention for a meditation. Like, I really need to pull myself back in, or maybe I need to just take a deep breath before I think about what I want to say. Or sometimes we're like, okay, dead ass, I need to open my third eye, right? Or I need to open my heart or go to my root or soothe something. So setting an intention can be pretty powerful in creating the space that you're looking for in meditation. Okay, so the role of proprioception and emotional intelligence. Proprioception and emotional intelligence are the healer's superpower once mastered. Spirit speaks to the oracle through emotion. The body is its mechanism, its tool, the I am. The healing power of proprioception and emotional intelligence, they are the keys to healing, allowing one to sit with discomfort and navigate emotions with grace. There is power in awareness, and it is the bravest thing you'll ever do. For once we understand our own energy, we can then identify in others. This is depth awareness. So this, I would say, is a journey of mastery. There are no shortcuts. You know, everybody says, well, how do I open my third eye? This is it. You know, how do I get that emotional intelligence? How do I know what it is that I want? When you say, I don't know, or I have no clarity, this is that journey. This is a journey of mastery, and all it takes is that you begin, because some of these, I think you'll find it kind of shocking that some of these techniques are so simplistic and basic, yet, you know, routine, right? And talking to that body. So getting comfortable being uncomfortable and diving headfirst into the pain, the crunchy, and the discordant. Look, there's a spelling error. How fun is that? Meditation often requires us to sit with discomfort, such as shame, doubt, uncertainty, embarrassment. Sometimes we have things that we think other people's know about us, that, you know, people's, and, you know, sometimes that emotion that we have that we're playing with gets uncomfortable. We don't want to face it, or we're in avoidance. But through pain comes awareness, and awareness is key to transformation. If you don't know what it is that you need to change, how can you affect change? The practice of meditation teaches us to sit with light and love and melt in divine surrender, but we have to sit still long enough to catch that, right? Sometimes when we feel like melting, the last thing we want to do is to look at it. So often just the rhythm of getting into meditative space begins to work before you've even gotten comfortable. I've noticed that this works especially with aura bath or setting an altar. For those of you that have been in my Zen room, you can see my altars. What I found is, as I'm gathering the things for that activity, like when I'm doing my aura bath, I'm thinking about, oh, my Florida water goes in there, my salt goes in there. I need a candle. I need my sage. I throw all the things in the bathroom that I need for that. And then as I'm putting on the music and gathering my clothes and my towels, I already begin that process or letdown. I want you to think of the mom that's breastfeeding a baby. The baby cries, boom, the body responds. We're going to be rewriting our behaviors and responses through this routine experience. So sometimes it is, the routine that will do this for us. So just the rhythm of getting into meditative space begins to work. So we're counting on the body to pick up the slack there. This is mastery and discipline. So discovering our light in balance. The premise here is our purpose is discover our light. We must forgive, love, and accept the dark within us. It's interesting to me, the Ho'oponopono, etc. When we talk about self-forgiveness, it is the hardest thing to do. We are so it is so easy for us to forgive others or to say to ourselves, that's okay. They had a bad day or they're going through it right now. Yet there's times where we are so terrified of letting go of control or allowing emotions to come pouring forth because we feel that they're so big that we will lose our balance or we will lose our grip and we will drown in it. But what's true is if we don't bottom out on it, what ends up happening is it overtakes us like a wave, and then we end up experiencing it and chaos ensues. So we must forgive, love, and accept both the light and the dark within us in perfect balance. Love and acceptance of both the light is essential and the dark. It's not our capacity to hold only pain, but our ability to hold an equal and greater amount of light is what we're designed to do. Our pain and our position, our pivot, watching the pain and what's happening to us and around us often is the viewpoint from which we stand. And we need to pivot within that and be able to turn toward the light and practice it such enough that I heard Quo saying it recently. Those of you that don't know Quo, that's llresearch.org. Look it up. It's my favorite thing ever. But Quo said that once you begin to, body in motion stays in motion. But once you begin to work with these chakras and we start to work on them independently and as a whole, it begins to lubricate and we begin to move into these other things on rounder wheels, so to speak. So chakras and energy balance. We will discuss each chakra in turn in the aura system. We will describe ways to position yourself for immaculate alignment and why that's important. We will enhance the ability of the body to communicate clearly through proprioception and understanding the balance of both light and dark, masculine and feminine. I plan to help you resurrect faith. Because once you realize that within your body, there are these structures, within this body is intuition and knowledge, you'll begin to trust yourself even more. And that is the thing that is most priceless from coming through meditation is trusting yourself. Because once you understand that if you just dig, you commit and you dig and you go in, you will find that all of those answers that you need are right there. And it's really fun to be able to start to lose your mentors or start losing your other outward compasses when you start to really lock in to your own light. And knowing yourself is a superpower. Like you come into a room, I gotta say, sometimes it will trigger people. However, how can you know if you don't ask? All right. So here are the 4 foundational keys of mastery. And this is what I want you to write down. These are the 4 things that you're going to be working on every single time you meditate. The first one is positioning. We're talking impeccable structural alignment. I hear people all the time when they say, I can't meditate. Guess what? You can. A client of mine was sitting across from me the other day and she says, yeah, well, I can't sit still. No. What does a child need? A child needs structure. What does your inner child need? She goes, my inner child says, no. Well, tell her to sit down. Positioning, impeccable structural alignment. I can't meditate. I hear it from people all the time. That's why I lean on the drum, Holly says. Well, guess what? There is this sense that you get when you're in meditation and when you've commanded your body to stillness, when you've commanded your brain to focus on the thing you effing said you wanted it to, redirect through all of these things, that you start to really feel pretty powerful in that sense where you're just like, whoa. You know, I'm in charge here. And when you begin to have that mind, body, soul connection, and then there becomes this inner sense of peace, we're calming the nervous system. So stacking the spine, whether it's laying flat, standing, or sitting, is imperative. So we're taught, and I'll explain that in just a second. And we're also creating muscle memory. And the body literally craves this stillness. When we have too much energy that is moving through our body and we have resistance because something's not cleared, it sits there and it vibrates on that chakra, and therein lies anxiety. And therein lies that frustration. We can't even begin to tell you what it is that is bothering you, but you know that there is a sense of that vibration and frustration. So the body does crave the stillness, and we're going to feed it. So positioning, number one. Number two, muscle memory. Remember, some of us have studied the body keeps the score. The body does keep the score. There's somatic memory that goes in when we have traumas, when we have laughter, when we have songs that come on and we remember them, when we have a smell that makes us sick, you know, when we have an uncomfortable conversation. The body stores these pieces of memory, information, and emotions. So we'll be working with our muscle memory. When you drive a car, you don't look to the left or the right or check the light on the license plate. That's for you, Mary Beth. Or we don't go in there and check the mirror every time like we did when we had the person doing the testing examination, right? We look at all of these 99 steps. Nowadays, we can drink our coffee, have a conversation, listen to the radio, roll down the window. We can do all of these different things because we have this somatic memory and we have this muscle memory. And what happens is we want to get into a sense of mastery enough and often in order for the body to understand what's going to happen next. We want to use all of the senses when we do this. This is where we're going to incorporate sense, sounds, lights, patterns, times, scheduling, etc. This is how we rewrite patterns and create new pathways. So positioning, muscle memory, and then we move on to the breath. This is breath work. Now, consciously using the body as a tool. Now, what I mean by that is we're going to focus strictly with, in the very first foundational portions of this, we're going to be strictly working with box breathing. And the reason I do that is because we are literally training our body to control the breath. We are teaching our body what to expect when we do it. And I would recommend that you master that before you move on to another one. Positioning, muscle memory, the breath, and proprioception, my favorite word. Proprioception, this is the healer's superpower. 99% of us are empaths. I'd like to say that there's the 1% that just won't admit it. What's true is, as an NLP practitioner, we learned, you know, that wild percentages that tell us that the body is doing most of the communication, that it's nonverbal. I'd like to suggest that there's probably a percentage of that. Like I want to say 80% is energy communication, or, you know, where we are feeling and learning energetically versus seeing how they're sitting or what they're doing. We're picking up micro expressions, of course, but this is the healer's superpower. This is the key to emotional intelligence. Go back to the body keeps the score on understanding traumas, and it is the reframe through understanding your emotions, and we'll get into that in a second. So those are your 4 foundational keys. If you stick with those 4 things, you can't fail in this. Okay. Okay, so we're going to go straight into the first one, positioning for alignment. The foramen magnum functions as the passage of the central nervous system through the skull, connecting the brain with the spinal cord. These end in your fingertips. This is where mudras come into play and also talks to us of the importance of alignment. Impeccable alignment allows for perfect communication between the mind, body, and spirit. If you sit straight or you lay flat, and I don't mean that you have to be perfectly, I know that my body in particular likes a little curvature at the sciatic. Everybody, you know, when I was working with Heather Harmony and she was teaching me Qigong, I was always trying to poke my little butt out, and that's okay. Sometimes it'd be like that. But I want you to be comfortable more than anything. I know that there are times where, and we're going to go through both static and dynamic movement here later on in the class, but impeccable alignment allows for communication between this foramen here, coming down to the spine, and talking to your body. When you are putting it into alignment, you're disciplining your body to listen. In this, you're instructing the nervous system, and it's looking for direction. So all unruly children need is a little structure. Create that structure. So I would like to, for just a minute, focus on what I call the celestial axis. The brain talks to our body through the spinal column. The spinal column and all its nerves branch out into the rest of the body and feeds the brain through this hole in the back of the neck. This is called the foramen magnum. I love big words like that, especially I like to break them down. So one of the things I like to point out about that is hyperextending or hyperflexing your head. I want you to think of when you look at your phone or when you roll your eyes at your mom. You are automatically pinching the nerves and essentially disconnecting you from the conversation or the thing that you're hearing, seeing, not just from the rest of your body, but from the experience itself. So that's like disassociation and checking out. Hence, like when you're looking at your phone, you're talking to someone, don't they like look at you and blink a little bit? It's because you're disconnecting from them and they know it. So this is why it's essential to stack your spine. It's not necessary for it to be ramrod straight, but you think of your spine being the core of your meridians and your chakras. Think also just of that alignment of sitting up straight. This is where stools, cushions, seats, etc. become valuable. And mindfulness is key. Like pay attention to what's going on with your body. Don't be ashamed to lay down. The only thing that I'm saying, if this is easiest for you, keep in mind, same place, same time. Don't make it harder than it has to be. So there are multiple positions to try. Practice one or many to find what works for you. Cross-legged, squat, kneel, lay prone, or supine. I would highly recommend that you play with discipline in this. Mostly because our body is so on an autonomic response, like, our breathing. Sometimes we chatter and we talk without even thinking about what's going on. We are literally telling our body at this point what it is that we want it to do. So it's great value sitting as still as possible, as this trains the nervous system for stillness. And it trains at the body that action is not always necessary. I want to just add, for those of us that use the primal purge process in noticing where energy is moving through our body, that sometimes when you're sitting in meditation and one of them comes up, we choose to A, go into the deep dive, or B, notice, oh, that's my throat chakra talking, and then we get to work on moving through it. So we can either engage, which right now the goal isn't necessarily disassociation, but non-attachment. Noticing that you're upset, going, got it, I'm upset. This is why I'm sitting still. We don't always have to do a deep dive. The most common pose is to sit with legs crossed, arms folded across the body, right? Sitting like this, or one of the mudras with your hands in your lap, etc. One of the things that I would recommend that I do often in meditation, sometimes I can't get there in meditation. I'm entirely too frustrated. I've waited too long to meditate, etc. What I like to do is what I call micro positioning. What I do is just sit in meditation and I constantly go to the very next thing. My head is too back. I'm a little to the left. Straighten my shoulders. Take a deep breath. And I just sit there and I constantly tweak until I am so perfectly practiced. Now, what I would recommend is you sit straight and tall, up like a ballerina, rock your shoulders back after your breath in, and then sit. And just constantly reposition yourself. So as you're training yourself, you find what's most comfortable. I found that it was very difficult for me to sit flat on the floor with my legs crossed, so I ended up getting a little bolster. I loved it. I also picked up a meditation seat belt, which went off the internet completely forever. It was the best $12 I ever spent. Wraps around your knees, tucks up behind your back, and pulls against your sciatic, holding you in that perfect position. I found it on the internet for $8.88. I will find the link and I will throw it somewhere for you. Before somebody take that note and remind you, if you've come to my house and tried it, it's magical. I've had a lot of back problems and I swear I want to go to the next rodeo and sit on a cushion with that bad boy because it feels better than a seat. It feels like you're sitting against a seat. Okay, don't be afraid to seamlessly move positions. I want you to think about, like, when you're sitting in meditation, your back starts to hurt, or for me in particular, it's my ankles. My ankles will get buggy on the ground and they'll go numb, or my feet, right? Don't be afraid to seamlessly, like, take a deep breath and go into child's pose, or take a deep breath and up into goddess pose. We don't have to sit for the hours as a yogi. It doesn't mean you're not doing it right. So don't be afraid to give your body what it needs. If you need to sit as in a recliner or a chair, do your best not to hyperextend or hyperflex the head or the spine. That's all you've got to do. So if you're finding static positioning difficult, perhaps meditation and movement would be most beneficial. Marcy likes to stand. She likes to stand, and that is that. So sometimes just, this is a cheat for the days when you have to have some built up energy. So you get to count that as meditation if you have to move around. So dancing can be meditative when used with the right reframer with music. I know Mary Beth likes to use music when she's doing things like I do. Okay. Where's my little share button again? Okay. Okay, create a ritual of it. Muscle memory is the hack that we are taking charge of the body system and inundating it with reactions from the senses and routine. The body loves routine. Create a sacred space for your daily meditation practice using elements that resonate with your spiritual practice. If you like the Buddha, use the Buddha. If you like the Kalima, use the Kalima. If you like the Jesus, use the Jesus. If you like to use colors, if you like to use, the Hindu colors where they have all the orange and whatever, I don't care what it is. I want you to think of holy things when you come into this space. If it's incense and candles and colors and themes, we want you to look forward to it. We want you to be enticed by, enchanted, and delighted by your meditation practice. This Zen room that I have going on here has been a 3-year process, and this is the result of throwing my whole heart into creating a space for myself. However, if it has to be a chair in a corner because we got 99 kids running around, so be it. If it's the garage in our man cave, if it is the car, if it is, some place like the back patio or the backyard under the tree, just think about dedicating a space for you, right? Not all of us have the opportunity to use an entire room. If it's your bed or your corner, start throwing things in that corner. So that here's the other trick. If we're using all of our senses to create a new pathway, I want you to have that on the top of your mind. For example, I used to keep, and those of you who've come to my house for readings and stuff before, you've seen me throw a bolster in the middle of my living room floor where I have to step over it all the time. So when I'm feeling frustrated, I kick it one time too many. I'm like, okay, I'm going to drop into meditation. So when I say sensualize your meditation, I want you to think of low lighting or candles or bright light, whatever you like. Make sure the temperature is appropriate or warm or cool, whatever it is you like. Make sure there's pillows, if there's a blanket, if you like to feel cozy. Centralize your meditation. I would recommend one thing. This is a priestess swag hack. I would select a scent that you use when you meditate only. That is the jasmine patchouli otherworldly scent that you guys love so much. Every time I meditate, every time I go into spirit, every time I channel, I utilize that scent because I'm telling myself, this is what we're doing. Like when Holly says, light a candle when you go in to do drum making, is so that you remember that you're in ceremony. This is the same thing. One recommendation, I have a scent that I absolutely love that I would love to use every time, but I can't get it. And that's open mouth pod. It comes from Africa. Don't get open mouth pod from Africa because you're going to have a hard time training your body with something that is super rare. So if it's patchouli, if it's Nag Champa, personally, I use jasmine. And then I utilize another scent with it in order to take myself and bring it into the room and then bring patchouli that I use for others. So for example, jasmine is me, patchouli is others, and together that creates my scent when I do ceremony in a group. Ta-da! Establish a daily ritual that signifies the beginning and end of your meditation session, such as lighting a candle or incense. So when I like to Florida water before I meditate, before I do a class, before I do a reading. I get a little Florida water and wash my hands. Wash your hands with salt, light a candle, light some incense, whatever that is. You can put it out or whatever, but this is you to just do a ritual and establish something that gives you a little extra bit of routine. I want you to set a goal for 3 times a week. I did a meditation class that said that it's required to meditate an hour a day, twice a day. And that's 2 hours, bro. So I wasn't going to get there. So I recommend when I did PLD, pace setter leadership dynamics, we were required to set these goals. And they're like, wait, be reasonable. Because I was like, I'm going to do 6 enrollments. And they're like, no, bro, 2 enrollments. You can have a secret goal for 4, master of the goal of 6. So I want you to set a goal for 3 times a week where you have meditated. With a secret goal of 5, for example. You may have a secret goal for 7 if you want an entire life change. But if you're going to commit to this, I just want you to think about what it is you're committing to and not to set yourself up for failure. And I will also want you to think about the days that you are practicing box breathing in your car, for example, which we'll get to next, counts as meditation. You meditated for 5 minutes before you went into work. That counts. On your lunch break, that counts. So set a goal for 3 times a week to really get into it, and then set a secret goal, right? So type in the chat box what your goal is when you think about it later on in the class. Explore the use of ritual tools such as crystals, essential oils, sacred symbols to enhance the depth and focus of your meditative practice, because these things really can enhance the practice. You don't have to invest in it, but when I put this room together, I wandered through the house thinking this crystal could go in here. Wait, this could go in here. I had more than I thought I did. So we don't have to go crazy, go out and buy things. Start using what you have. If it's a minky that you sit on, so be it. Okay, my 2 favorite subjects. Okay, box breathing and breath work. Okay, so we're going to keep it super light, and we're going to pretend that box breathing is the only way to do this for now. And box breathing is super simple. It's pretty much, they can tell you about the counts. Count for this and hold for that. I'm going to just be really a radical here and say, stop giving your brain another thing to effing do or count or think about. So inhale, hold, exhale, hold. Seek the pauses, practice extension. You got that? Inhale, hold as long as you can. Exhale, hold. Seek the pauses. Find the top, find the bottom, and then practice extending that. If you have shallow breath, so be it. Deep diaphragmatic breathing calms the mind, regulates the heartbeat, and harmonizes the body's rhythm with the surrounding energy. The alternate nostril breathing technique balances the left and right hemispheres of the brain, promoting mental clarity and focus. But the goal here is rhythmic, controlled, foundational. This has to do with the root and the body. Being in the present moment. Master this box breathing. I want you to do it everywhere. I want you to take a deep breath somewhere and hold it, breathe out and hold it. Like maybe before you have to talk to your kids, do a box breath. If you do 3 box breaths, I'm going to tell you, you're going to find a floaty experience. If you seek those pauses and you try to hold as long as you can before you measure and control and breathe out, I'm going to suggest that you're going to find that floaty space really quickly. And I have a technique that we're going to practice at the end of this that I'll show you. Okay. Proprioception and emotional intelligence. We didn't cover this yet. Okay, our purpose here is, didn't we? Our purpose is to discover our light. Did we cover this?
No, not yet.
Okay, so proprioception and emotional intelligence. Our purpose is to discover our light. We must forgive, love, and accept the dark within us. In perfect balance, love and acceptance of both the light and the dark is essential. It's not our capacity to hold only pain, but our ability to hold an equal and greater amount of light. This is where we talk about chakras and energy balance, right? We will discuss each one. We did go over this. So it enhances the body's ability to communicate clearly and understand the balance of pain and love within us. But first, I want to go back one. And I want to talk about muscle memory really quickly. The first task of meditation is to create that muscle memory out of the activity. At first, this may look like doing your meditation the same time in the same place. Set up a space for meditation. We did talk about setting it up, but I'd like to say establishing a habit the first few days to reinforce muscle memory. I would like to say do a couple days in a row if you can. Okay. The reward to this later in your practice is that you can pull up the space in your mind's eye and draw on the peaceful energy in any stressful situation. Muscle memory is your friend here. So let's talk about the breath real quick, and back it up. My apologies. For now, we'll just strictly talk about the benefit of controlled, measured, rhythmic breathing, okay? It calms the nervous system, allows for maximum air exchange and oxygenation. And in ridiculously simple terms, like I said, it's the breathe in and hold, breathe out, and then hold. Before you begin, do some stretching and adjusting to get comfortable and find your breath. Get a few deep bellows in so you don't have any air hunger, and then breathe in and hold. What I recommend is you hold that breath until you almost feel like you're going to exhale anyways, but then practice with measuring it out, okay? And then just stay steady. You can even put your hand on your chest and ride the waves of the breath and find heartbeat and center and keep it super easy. So you're going to breathe in and hold, breathe out and hold, and just feel that rhythm for a while. Okay. My favorite word on the planet is proprioception. I would like to chat with you guys face to face for a second. So for those of you that are healers or practitioners, especially energy workers, although this is beneficial for everyone, this is the most important premise you will learn in your meditation practice, proprioception. Proprioception is an innate awareness of the body. I like to say the word because like when we do Holly's retreats and we like to use new words, this is just a way for us to center. And once mastered, this is the practitioner's superpower. And I mean that. The depth of understanding of how emotions and feelings are processed in our body system is a quantum level boss up. The body is consistently and constantly firing messages to us. When we ignore these messages, like notifications on your phone, they back up and repeat until they're addressed, or they're in the way. Like you ever have to pull down all the notifications to get to the thing that you want, and it's kind of annoying. It's like, you know, when you turn on your computer and you're clicking your mouse around and you're clickety clickety click and nothing's happening because it's still doing the reboot. You can do little but wait until your computer finishes processing, right? And that's pretty much what's happening when we have notifications that are going. This is what is happening to your body. We have these little frustrated energy centers that aren't getting attention. So there's plenty of scientific evidence now conducted that talks about the body and its somatic memory process. In the book, The Body Keeps the Score, these facts and biological stress responses and traumas in memory are researched in depth. If you want to grab that book, it's very dense as far as like numbers and science, etc. I had bought it thinking, I mean, my medical brain as a paramedic and teaching, I love to pick that all apart. However, I really was looking for, if anybody has one or knows of one, I was looking for a reference where I could be like, my favorite example is the liver. You know, people get, as a paramedic for 20 years, I don't know why I'm talking about that right now. In the summertime in July, when it's the 4th of July and it's hot, that's when we have the most domestics. Why? Because everybody's drinking. Why? Because alcohol activates the liver, and that is where we store rage. Ta-da! So in that dense scientific material, however, the research explores attachment trauma, abuse, big trauma, and how it represents itself in the body function and disease, as well as behavioral responses. Moving forward in the next 8 classes, we'll be talking about those behavioral responses and blockages, and where certain behaviors go with certain chakras, so you know exactly which chakra is activated based on what's going on with your behavior. Or, this is what I mean, mastery is once you understand that these are the things that go with root chakra, for example, fear, boom, somebody's operating from a sense of fear, you can understand that because you understand it within yourself. If we ignore these responses, we create blockages that present as disease, both physical and mental, depression, the big D, anxiety, insomnia, anger issues, avoidance, disassociation, difficulty in sexuality, communication issues, difficulty connecting with others, and body confidence are just some of the hallmarks of proprioception. And we'll get into a lot of these, you know, in specific. Okay, so it sounds like a big bag, but what's true is we can laser-like get into them when we go into these chakra conversations. Once we clear the messages of pain, discomfort, and the body's needs, like I'm hungry, I'm tired, I'm cranky, I'm in pain, we can hone in on the more subtle energetic messages. It's not until we slow down and acknowledge the body and come into alignment with it, rather than trying to drive it all the time, go to bed, go eat, go run, go sleep, whatever, we are driving it. We will notice how energy moves through the system. Proprioception is enhanced and connections are more accessible. So what we're doing is making a connection with our body and we come into congruency with it. So it becomes our partner rather than something that is outside of us, mind, body, soul. The majority of people come to me with a cry for help, desperately begging for a skill that will help with shutting off the brain and quiet runaway thoughts. And I have to laugh because this is an impossible task. We can only speak approximately 100 to 150 words per minute. Karma, probably 200 to 300. However, our brain continues to process information and data at a rate equivalent to 1,500 words per minute or concepts at a time. Not only are we thinking, we're processing data in every single sensory perception. Filtration gives us focus primarily on environmental factors, such as hunger, pain, fatigue, joy, pleasure, laughter, heat, cold, fear, safety. However, I want you to think as an NLP practitioner in our training, we talk about internal representation system. I'm sorry, I'll go a little quicker because we're almost done with some of this, but I'll get you there within an hour and 15. The internal representation system is the one processing system that each one of us adhere to. I want you to think of some people who talk really, really fast, like myself, for example. I speak really fast because I am a visual learner. I am a visionary individual. I am a clairvoyant. So when I'm speaking quickly, you can tell whether someone sees in pictures or not because they talk fast to catch you up to what they see. Auditory people at a normal state and kinetic people, like the old cowboy, when you go, "How you doing, Bubba?" And he goes, "I'm good." He has to check in with how he feels, checks that data to see if the data aligns with it, does the math, and then he goes, "I'm good." So we have a 2 to 3 second delay. So what we got to do is figure out what it is, how we process. And this is what we're doing in proprioception. The first assignment in meditation, once positioning is considered and routine. So proprioception comes after we figure out what our positions are comfortable. Because until we're comfortable, we're not going to listen. So our first assignment in meditation, once positioning is considered and routine, is to concentrate on box breathing and proprioception. Initially, there's no other goal than this. So that's all you're going to play with in the beginning. The next few weeks, we're going to be adding 1 or 2 exercises as we go that go along with the chakras. The workbooks are super easy because they're just thoughts that you're going to be playing with during the week. Initially, there's no other goal. So for as long as it takes, we must sit and listen to the body. The first dozen or so sessions are consumed with comfort and awkwardness. This can be alleviated by taking care of the body's needs prior to your session. Damn, last time I didn't put the dog out. So take care. Spend as much time as you need to meeting your needs. Are you warm enough? Are you hydrated? Will you need water? Does your body need a stretch first? Are you going to be able to sit still if your kinetic stuff is still in there jiggling? Do a body scan and take note of what's speaking to you. Does your back hurt? Your hips, your knees? Are you breathing freely? Do you need some medicine? A lot of us have had colds lately. Do you need some medicine? Oh, I didn't do that. Do you need to eat? Oh, I didn't eat today. Do you need a nap? You may find in meditation that you will discover that you need more sleep than you're giving yourself. Less TV, more naps. Are you hungry? So I promise you, you will get no further than this if you do not take heed of the body's messages. The premise here is an embodiment. Notice that, embodiment. Meditation is your tool for listening to what the body needs. Provide every need to your best ability and make a commitment to honor those needs. I like to pat my shoulder. Ooh, baby girl. I realize that you need ice and some Tylenol and a good stretch. I will do the little bit of tapping on them bitches and watch me, right? Because I'm letting you know, shut it, right? Shut up. Just kidding, just kidding. I love you, right? Make a commitment to honor those needs. If you tell your knee, I will take that Tylenol and I will wear the brace, and then you do it, guess what you're doing? You're teaching your body to trust yourself. And you will begin to trust yourself more and more as you go. So provide every need to your best of your ability, or make a comment, "I'll look into that." Your body is listening. Make a commitment to honor those needs. And this is impeccable self-care. This is where it begins. There's an added bonus to this practice because your subconscious mind listens to what you're telling it. The more you do what you say you will, the quicker the anxiety will calm over time, right? Further, this engenders the quality of trust within others as well. Because when we don't do what we say we're going to do, and we don't honor our own word, there is a subconscious thread that others may not either. And there's also math. You're doing math in your own head. Well, you don't show up. Why would you expect Susie to do what she says she's going to do, Karen? So take this one step further. Take care of your body's needs throughout the day. Yoga or stretching as it all comes together. A solid exercises routine releases pent-up chemicals from your stress and control and instead releases dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin, cortisol buildup, etc. Take care in your grooming, right? In a way that is careful. What I mean by that is fully care for your body. Slow down and be gentle with yourself and never skip steps, right? The more routinely you care for your body in every way, the more trust will flow between mind, body, and soul. So take your time. Add a little time to that too. Consider that meditation. If you got to count it, count it. Some of us like those little scores. I do. I meditated today. I took a salt bath instead of blah, 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 right? So sometimes that can be replaced. So if you have to build more time into your self-care, this is personal commitment that brooks no shortcuts. Meditation is a discipline. The ABCs come before we can build words or sentences. These steps are the beginnings of your alphabet. Mastering your body through the discipline of meditation allows you to more easily and fluidly comprehend the subtle messages from spirit and energy flow. And once you know your own body and your own mind, it's a natural consequence to begin to discriminate between what is natural for you and what is an outside influence. Because that's what we're really doing, is drawing ourselves back in and taking note of what our needs are. So if you take this walk with your body, you will notice the energy body more fully, and you'll perceive when the heart chakra opens or is blocked. You'll notice the throat chakra opening or closing, feeling as if something is stuck in your throat, as the energy narrows when something feels off in communication. Butterflies or an upset stomach talk about anxiety in the room or insecurity. Shakes about anxiety, tension or tetany from someone's anger. There's so much more to be had than just mental clarity. This body awareness never goes away, because once you begin this awareness, it's forever. Okay, let me get back to class. We've got 2 more. Are you liking it so far? You give me a thumbs up.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna quickly go over some of these really quickly, just because I wanted to tie this in with the structure, right? Mudras are hand gestures that guide energy flow in the body. Each mudra has a specific meaning and benefit in meditation and spiritual practice. I will teach you one with each chakra, so by the time you're done, you'll have 7. Mantras are sacred words or sounds that help focus the mind, and they've been used for centuries to create a sense of peace and well-being during meditation. So mudras are the hand gestures. I want you to think of the foramen magnum and all of those nerve endings that come down our spinal column. They all come out in our fingers. So when we can literally talk to our brain when we're doing mudras. Ohms or alms are sacred sounds and spiritual symbols in Indian religions. Chanting Om can help with the relaxation of mind and body during meditation. The meaning of Om. I want to talk about Ohms most especially because there is this depth here that for myself, I'll never forget the first time I did an Om in my room here. I was like, why not? And I had this song, the Ramadasa song, that I'll force on every one of you before we're done, because there's a lot of gaps in breath there and there's something to chase. And I love that because it gives my brain somewhere to go. So the meaning of Om, this is a multicultural perspective versus just one, like the Vedic practice. Om, often spelled as AUM, is a sacred sound and symbol in various spiritual and cultural traditions, and it's considered one of the most profound and mystical sounds in existence. Om is typically broken down into 3 distinct components, A, U, and M, each holding a unique significance and symbol. And I love the sigils for this, because guess what? There's something new for me to play with. There's the little 4 symbol with the M, the U, and the A. The first part of the Om represents the waking state, Jagrat. It's the beginning, the source, the creation of all existence. The A is pronounced with an open mouth. Symbolizing the beginning of all sound. So it's initiation. I love the A, it's the initiation, the beginning. The U, the second part, represents the dream state, swapna. It signifies continuity and connection, as well as the transitional state between waking and sleep. It is theta. It is U pronounced with a narrowing of the mouth. Right? So we're going right into it. M, the third part, symbolizes the deep sleep state. Shushupti. It signifies the end and represents the transcendent state of consciousness. M is pronounced with closed lips, signifying the end of all sound. So we have the beginning, the theta, the dream state, and the ending. Beginning and end. It's almost like we have, the alpha and omega, all of that in there. There's a concept here. So when we talk about archetypes, which we're not in my tarot class, but we'll talk about archetypes. Archetypes are what is found deep-seated in the mind. Back in our mind, we have images as a people, as a human people, as a cultural genetic memory. We have mixed archetypes here, which makes it a little difficult, but we have all of these different archetypes to pull on, and this symbol can represent so much. So in the Om, we have what's possible here is playing with that concept. So play with humming a little bit and try it. Mantras are used meditation, prayer, healing, or intent. Mantras are sacred words, phrases, or sounds that are chanted or repeated to invoke spiritual energy, deepen meditation, or transform one's consciousness. They serve as potent tools for connecting with the divine and aligning the mind, body, and spirit. It's for focus and concentration. Chanting a mantra helps concentrate the mind, reducing distractions and promoting inner peace. Sound vibration mantras generate specific vibrational frequencies and positive information. Uses, meditation is for meditation focus, to invoke the divine, to heal, and to bring conscious intent. The benefits here are spiritual connection, mindfulness, inner peace, transformation, purposeful healing of traumas. Ding, da, da, ding, da, da, ding. Redirecting the brain, reframing, and energy setting. Mudras. Now, I love mudras. I like to play with these. I would recommend that as you do mudras, make it up. Okay, don't go searching the internet for a mudra that represents something for you. If you've seen one, assign it, right? Okay, because this is only going to be what you're drawn to anyway. We do best when we go where led. So mudras are hand positioning and symbolic gestures that enhance thought process and energy flow. Think of the energy flow within the body through the spine. The nerves do not stop there. They go into your hands. So think about what you're doing with your hands. I'm going to teach you more of this later, where we're going to talk about reprogramming techniques, where we cross the left side, right side, reprogram the brain, talk from the subconscious to the superconscious, etc. So certain hand positions evoke a specific chakra energy. Gestures of respect or reverence, surrender, open body positions like goddess pose, etc. So mudras, I want you to throw every class in there that has to do with body positioning and call it, okay? So whatever it means to you, if you are clueless on that, go ahead and do some research. Try some things. There's a little trivia here. The Uttara Bodhi mudra is used by Andrew Tate, Elon Musk, and Ronaldo. Involves folding the hands together, sticking out the index fingers, and connecting the thumb and fingers toward the back. It's a focus technique. If you notice it on social media, that's why I gave you the trivia, so you can play around with it. If they come up, notice that Elon Musk sits like this or with his hands. And if you notice, I sit like that. And that's the reason why I notice it, is because I do that shit. So I'm like, wait a minute, what is this? So you'll see that people do this. Also, when we're all done and off camera, I'll teach you guys the third eye clearing one too. It's Gal Gadot does it on TV and I loved it. Okay, there's some extra research here. There are 24 asamyutta separated and 13 samyutta joined. Hand mudras separated and joined in Buddhism, for example. Each are for a different energy focus and response. If you like to research and play with that and you're inspired to, it is a good time. Okay, we're going to talk about some of the things that you get out of this. If you make a dedicated practice here, is discovering your clairvoyance. We will explore the meaning of clairvoyance or the clairs in general and how to develop this ability through meditation and mindfulness practices. It's not what you think it is. So don't jump ahead and go straight to the third eye, because it's not going to work like that. Not meditation according to karma anyway. You're going to be like a geyser to that third eye by the time we're done with the first 3 weeks. Goal setting. We'll discuss setting goals to enhance spiritual abilities, such as accessing the Akashic records, astral travel, past life regression, mindfulness, better sleep, blah, blah, blah. We're going to set some goals here, because if you don't know what you want to get out of this, you're just going to be sitting still and you'll get frustrated. We're going to work on understanding the chakras and the energy body. Building on previous discussions, we'll connect the discovery of clairvoyance to specific chakras in the energy body. And building on previous discussions, we'll learn how they all work together. So I want you to embrace the journey. You're going to get a lot of encouragement here. There aren't going to be as many roadblocks as you think there are, because we're going to be moving so quickly, you'll be busy. So there's going to be some encouragement to embrace the process of self-discovery and spiritual growth, highlighting the benefits of these abilities in your daily life. So we're not going to be making something super complicated for you. Legend has it that meditation decalcifies the pineal gland and opens the third eye in all the modes. The most profound principle that I have come across for this is proprioception, the subtle messages from the divine, the higher self, expressed within the body as emotions. The body is our vehicle. It is not only our host, it is our receiver information and also a transmitter. There's levels to this shit, and it all begins with a solid foundation. Don't skip steps. Routine here is your friend. This is the value of discipline. Become the master. Once you have a disciplined meditation practice, you can set some clear goals and head for a finer tuning of these abilities. It begins with discipline and consistency. A little goes a long way. Commit to yourself, and you'll find that through just a little faith and trust that you can attain a great many things. And once you've established a routine to fall into regularly, you'll find that you not only look forward to it, but that you crave it. Trust yourself. I promise you can't fail in this. So I want you to stop and evaluate. The very first thing that I want you to do is set reasonable goals for meditation. Be smart and set yourself up to succeed. Like we talked about earlier, 3 times a week is sufficient with a secret goal of 5. The second thing I want you to do is spend this time this week cultivating a Zen space or looking at what you do have or setting some goals. When you go in and look at the meditation goal sheet, you will literally find some ideas that you can have in there. Be flexible with your routine. You might find that this big idea that you had to meditate at night in the morning is shit because you're not a morning person, or you may find that it's chaotic in the evening with your kids. So be flexible with your routine. I know I said earlier to set 3 days in a row, but once you find your routine, am I talking too fast? Once you find your routine, then try to work in 3 days in a row. Just do it once. I would recommend that you get a journal or a notebook. And the reason why I say this is I'm going to teach you some tricks and how to take notes during meditation so you don't lose the meditation state, where you can begin to write down concepts, terms, or words, or how to get these things without disrupting that cognitive state. The homework, do the exercises, meditation goals, and the proprioception worksheet. Write down what you think your obstacles will be and design a workaround. If you can't work in the evening or if you aren't going to get the time that you want, start thinking about these obstacles early on. Spend this week thinking about what you want to get out of meditation. And the last thing I'm going to say is commit. If you work it, it works you. There's no way around it. Absolutely every benefit will come out of it. Ta-da! This is just an example of some of the tools that I have cultivated over the time. I want you to begin to play, get some ideas, have some fun. And I want to thank you for trusting me.
Thank you, Karma.
All right. We are going to stop sharing, even if I don't know how to do it. And we're going to chat. I'm going to stop recording. And we'll get into some Q&A.